All right, excuse me, I'm David Gersh, Arnold and Porter Kaye Scholer. We're very pleased to have gotten the trial underway. As you know, this is a challenge to the congressional redistricting map in Pennsylvania. And today was a great first day, and we're going to hear from lawyers who put on several of the witnesses. Mimi McKenzie of Public Interest Law Center, Elizabeth Theodore, and Dan Jacobson. Mimi put on both Bill Marks, our plaintiff, and Mary Beth Lawn, another plaintiff. Elizabeth argued the privilege issues, and Dan Jacobson has been examining Dr. Joey Chen, who has been, will carry over until tomorrow. So let me get them up here so that people can go home. And Mimi, you want to go first?
Sure. Good evening, everyone. I think you heard today in court really powerful personal stories from our petitioners about why this issue was so important. I mean, the statistical analysis, the math, the political science, you know, that's all really impressive. But hearing the people from around the state and how this gerrymandered map impacts them in their daily lives, I thought was a really powerful statement. We heard from Bill Marks, who talked about he serves his country both as a military officer, but he also serves his country by voting. And to have his vote not count or to have the election results predetermined, just how that impacted him. And you heard from Beth Lawn about some of the issues that are before the U.S. House that really matter to her, and where she feels like she doesn't have a chance to ever elect a congressman who represents her views on things like the Affordable Care Act or the tax cuts that are before the U.S. House. So I think they really personalized this case, and that was important for the court to hear. At the same time, I think it's, you know, this case isn't, it's built in lots of different ways. Of course, you start with just the crazy districts that we have, but then it's also really important to hear from experts. So I'm going to let Dan talk about that. Sure.
Before he comes up, can you say and spell your first and last name?
Oh, sure. I'm sorry. It's Mary McKenzie. Or actually, I go by Mimi, so no one will recognize it in the paper.
It's M-I-M-I?
Sorry, M-I-M-I-M-C-K-E-N-Z-I-E. And I'm the legal director at the Public Interest Law Center in Philadelphia.
My name is Daniel Jacobson. Jacobson is J-A-C-O-B-S-O-N. I'm an attorney at the law firm Arnold and Porter Kaye Scholer. So we heard expert testimony today from Dr. Joey Chen, who was a political scientist at the University of Michigan. And what Dr. Chen testified to is that he has a method for testing, for seeing, was this an intentional gerrymander, and what were the effects of that intentional gerrymander. And the way he does that is he uses a computer algorithm to create computer simulations of neutral, nonpartisan districts in Pennsylvania that would be created if they didn't consider partisan intent, but instead only considered things that we would consider the traditional principles, things like trying to create compact districts, avoiding splitting apart counties or municipalities, things like that. And what Dr. Chen testified that he found is that he created 1,000 simulations, so 1,000 different simulated districting maps for Pennsylvania, and he found that not a single one of those 1,000 simulations would Republicans ever win 13 seats, as they have in real life. Usually what he found is that Republicans would win maybe 8, 9, or 10 districts. So he's able to conclude that the only possible explanation for the 13-5 result we see under the real plan is that this was an intentional effort to benefit, the 2011 plan was an intentional effort to disadvantage Democratic voters and advantage Republican voters. And the result of that intentional effort is that Republicans have won 3 to 4 additional congressional seats than they would have won under a neutral, nonpartisan plan. Dr. Chen also testified as to some of the effect that the gerrymander has had on some of these individual petitioners. He testified, for instance, that petitioner Beth Lawn, standing right here, who, based on her home address, under his simulated neutral plans, would almost always be in a Democratic district, a district that goes Democratic. but because of the gerrymander, she is stuck in a Republican district. So that was one of the examples, and he went through other petitioners who are in the same boat. So as David mentioned, Dr. Chen's going to continue and complete his testimony tomorrow. Thank you. I'll turn it over to Elizabeth Theodore.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Theodore, also with Arnold and Porter Kaye Scholer, and that's spelled E-L-I-S-A-B-E-T-H, and Theodore is T-H-E-O-D-O-R-E. I argued cross motions today, one filed by the petitioners, one filed by the legislative respondents, about the question of whether information produced by the General Assembly by Speaker Turzai in the federal Ager litigation would be admitted in our case. And what this information shows it shows directly and conclusively that the 2011 map was an intentional partisan gerrymander. Some of the information produced in the federal Ager case includes files that contain partisan indices scoring every precinct in the state of Pennsylvania, every county, every municipality, and scoring whether they are likely to vote for Democrats or for Republicans, and the extent of the partisan lean. Some of the other documents include draft maps that, for each proposed possible outline of the districts, give a little score that either says R and a number or D and a number, indicating whether that district is likely to go for Republicans or Democrats, and by how much. Now, we're pleased that the judge ruled that some of those documents are going to come into this case. So Dr. Chen testified about some of them earlier today, and at least one of the partisan maps that I mentioned that was admitted in the Ager litigation, a document called CD18 Maximized, which appears to indicate an effort to maximize the number of Republican seats in a proposed district plan, but